Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about traveling with adult children. We just got back from a 6-day trip with 7 grown adults, 3 of whom happen to be our sons. We did some things right. We did some things not so right. And I wanted to make a video just for those of you that are planning a big, maybe multi-generational trip. Maybe those of you that are dreaming of doing this one day with your kids. Maybe even if you just have little ones right now and you're thinking, golly, someday we're going to be able to do this. This is the video for you. So a little bit about me, especially if this is your first video of mine you're ever watching. My husband and I have been married for 36 years. We have 3 wonderful grown sons. Our oldest is 29 and our twins are 26. 2 of the 3 of them have partners. My son Will has his wonderful partner Mike, who I adore, and my son Matt has his beautiful fiance Rin, who I also adore. I do not have favorites among my children or amongst their people. We are very blessed in that we all get along really, really well, but this is the first time that we were all together for an extended period of time. And there were a lot of things that went into this. There were a few choices I made that I'm really, really proud of that turned out beautifully. And then there were a couple choices I made that were just so-so. So I have 10 tips for you if you are planning or hoping to plan travel with your adult children. My number 1 tip is pay for it. Now, I realize that we are all in different financial situations. We actually took everyone to Puerto Rico. We stayed in a wonderful Airbnb. I'll show little bits and pieces of that as we move throughout the video. Renting a house, by the way, was the way to go, but it does not need to be that dramatic. You don't need to have flights involved even. You could rent an Airbnb. Maybe there's a beach close to you. Maybe you live somewhere close to the mountains, like here where we are. The Blue Ridge Mountains would be a great choice. Just try, if at all possible, to consider the financial situation of your kids. Now, I'm kind of projecting my own situation onto you. You may be in a situation where your grown children have far more money than you do, and so they may want to help pay. They may want to pay. I don't know. In our situation, our kids are all working full-time, very hard. They're hoping to buy homes. I don't know if you've seen the news. The economy is not great, and they did not have vacations in their budgets. So us paying for this trip meant that they were all going to get a really lovely vacation. So we were happy to do it. It was a fantastic use of our money. And if at all possible, pay for the trip. I think that sometimes my generation is not as sensitive as we could be to the financial reality of our kids. I'm Gen X, and it's rough in those streets, as the kids say. So if you can pay for it, do it. It will make everything much easier, much happier. And for me, it was just an honor and a privilege to be able to do so. Number 2, kind of related. Be considerate of their situation. Time off can be challenging. If they're new in their careers, they may only have 2 weeks off. And if you're watching from outside of the US, you may not know that paid time off is not nearly as generous for us as it is in some other parts of the world. So if they've only got 2 weeks vacation, it may not be right or fair to ask for a full week. So maybe in that case, you want to do a long weekend. Maybe you could, just tag on a couple of days so they don't have to take all of their PTO. But really think about the trip from their lens and make sure you listen. I mean, listening is always what we should be doing anyway, but pitch the idea early on. Say, casually, hey, listen, we were thinking of maybe doing a big family trip. What does that look like for you this year? Did you already have something planned? You don't want to assume, and you certainly don't want to be controlling and pushy about it. I think one of the reasons this trip worked so beautifully is it happened quite organically, and all of the stars just happened to align, but that's not to say that the next trip it will be quite so easy. So lean into what your kids are going through, what their partners are going through, and try to be as considerate as possible. I've actually heard horror stories of parents making kind of ultimatums about family trips, and I just don't feel like that is the warm and cozy relational vibe that we're going for. So just be considerate about their situation and what it is that they're able to give for the family trip. Okay, number 3, give them space, literal space and figurative space. Literal space give everybody their own bathroom. Again, I realize financially that could be challenging, but I did a lot of research to find a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house so that each couple could have their own bedroom and their own bathroom. I think having your own bathroom is a great way for people to actually feel like they're on vacation and not like it's a chore. It feels very luxurious. I would much rather have chosen a worse location, but to have the space we needed for everybody. People having their own rooms and people having their own bathrooms, I think, is a non-negotiable. And also having shared spaces where there's, multiple places for everybody to go. This particular house, there was a couple of beautiful outdoor decks. There was a rooftop deck, and there was lots of indoor space. So that meant that we could all be together in the great room, or different people could pair off. I found the twins a couple times up on the roof, having an absolute lovely conversation. So I think you don't all have to be together the entire time. In fact, I think if you are together the entire time, there could be problems. Maybe I'm projecting. Again, this is my family. I can only share from my own experience, but I think separate bedrooms and separate bathrooms, certainly separate bedrooms, is the key to happiness for a family trip. Okay, number 4, choose a destination that makes it easy to do things together and also makes it easy to do things apart. Puerto Rico was such a great choice for this because we could either just hang out at the beach house and look out at the beautiful view and swim right there, just hang out, cook in the kitchen, do whatever. Or we had San Juan about 30 minutes away, lots of other beaches, lots of other activities, and it meant that we didn't have to be together the entire time. I made sure there were plenty of options for everyone. As it turned out, we were together the majority of the time, but there were a few times where, somebody would go out and get takeout for everybody, and it would give that couple some time alone. Just create an environment where you don't feel like you have to be joined at the hip. Give everybody space to enjoy this vacation as it works for them, but also set it up to where together time is really feasible. I think a cruise would be great for this. I think a rental house is great for this. I think a beach resort is great for this, maybe an all-inclusive, something where there's plenty to do and also time to do absolutely nothing, and you can really ebb and flow with that. I would say on that, one thing I wouldn't try again is touring downtown San Juan with 7 people unless we had a tour guide. We were a bit like the Keystone Cops in San Juan. We kept getting separated from each other. We were texting each other. We were trying to pin locations in a place that none of us is wildly familiar. And so that was a little chaotic. And in hindsight, I really wish we had hired a tour guide to help us with that. Still a fun memory, no regrets. Okay, number 5, communicate priorities. My husband actually spearheaded this. He sent out a big group text to everyone saying, hey guys, do some research and put in the group text, what are your priorities? This meant that everybody got to do their one bucket list thing that they really wanted to do. And we didn't just steamroll over them. We listened, again, going back to listening, we listened to them, what their choices were, things they really wanted to do, things maybe they didn't want to do. And if somebody had a big priority that for them was a thing they definitely wanted to do, that didn't mean everybody had to go, but it did mean that we would facilitate that happening. One thing we did to make that possible was we rented 2 rental cars, which with 7 people we had to anyway, but we made sure that it was always possible for people to do separate activities. And I again, going back to the you're not joined at the hip, I think that created space where no one felt like they were, being forced to do anything they didn't want to do. And I communicated very clearly, listen, if you're not feeling it on a particular day, and if we're all headed out to do something and you want to stay here in the house, you meaning an individual, a couple, maybe different combinations, feel free. This is what we're doing. Nobody is forced to do anything they don't want to do because we're all adults. So there you go. Number 6, meal plan. I didn't do this terribly well. I wish, although I just said that to my husband in the kitchen, I was going over this list with him and Scott was like, we didn't starve. And he's right, we didn't starve. But I didn't research restaurants really well. And in hindsight, I really should have assigned that to somebody because you do have to eat. I should have done a better job of, and again, I didn't have to be the one to do it, but to assign a grocery list to somebody. They did all go to the grocery store that first day and we did a pretty good job. I mean, we always had coffee and we always had snacks, and we always had chips and salsa, so priorities. But I think I should have done more meal planning. I was a little harried before we left, so I'm really not going to put that on me, but I also didn't assign it to anybody. And when you're doing a trip with 7 people, and if you're serving as like the project manager and you don't assign anything to somebody, then things are going to fall through the cracks. I did assign Scott's birthday cake to my son's partner, who happens to be a trained pastry chef, which was a really good call because the cake was delicious. But yeah, I should have assigned tasks a lot more efficiently, and I didn't do that. Again, wasn't fatal. We didn't starve. We all, I think, gained a few pounds while we were gone, so we did fine, but could have done a little better in that area because people do have to eat. Number 7, have grown adults make their own flight reservations. I screwed this up. Because I was so excited and I wanted us all to be on the same flights and I booked us all together, what Delta did was make me the contact person, which was fine for the flights that were originating in the same city. But I had 2 of the people were coming from Denver, Colorado. There was a flight cancellation the day of their flight, and Delta wasn't texting them. Delta was texting me. With the time difference, I'm now trying to get a hold of Delta and I'm trying to get a hold of them. And because they weren't even awake yet, it was very stressful for me. And there was another flight problem going on the way back, same kind of deal. So if people are coming from another state, and this is such a minor thing, but I told myself, you're never doing this again. If they're adults, if they're coming from a different place, have them make their own travel arrangements. Still, we paid for it, but have them make the reservations themselves so that they are the point of contact with the airline. Airline travel right now is so insane that I think this is more important now than ever. Obviously, if you're driving, this is not an issue, or if you're going someplace a lot closer than we did. I mean, Puerto Rico, Denver, where my son and his fiance live, and Puerto Rico are very far apart from each other. I went to California public schools, but I think that's pretty, geography-wise, it's far. So I should have let them handle their own reservations, and then I still would have, reimbursed them for whatever. But yeah, let grown people be in charge of their own flights. That's the lesson. Okay, number 8, don't try to be cruise director like when they were little. Insert picture of Julie from the Love Boat here. Very dated reference. But I think I know my audience. So when your kids were little, if you're like me, every trip we did, Hawaii, Disney, Mexico, whatever it was, I was the group activity leader. I was the one that planned everything out. I was the one that made all the schedules. I was the one that, determined when people were going to get up and, quite frankly, when people were going to go to bed and we're going to do this, 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 and this. It served us well when we had little kids. That attitude doesn't necessarily serve you well with grown adults. You need to allow adults to be adults. Again, going back to the let people do what they want to do or not do what they want to do. And we had multiple times throughout the trip where a plan we were sure everybody wanted to do, and then someone would be like, I don't really want to do that. And then other people were like, yeah, we don't really want to do that either. So allow people to communicate. Allow people to be adults. Don't decide that you are the one who's going to be controlling about everything that happens and that your way is the only way, because it will lead to kind of a yucky vacation. Nobody likes that vibe. A lot of us have had family members throughout the years, maybe it's during holidays or whatever, that insist on their way is the only way, and nobody likes that. Everyone feels, in my view, disrespected. It can really hurt feelings, especially when it's people that are not your children, right? These are other people's children, still grown, but you need to let them have input. You need to listen. And I tried my darndest. I feel like that's something that I will grow and evolve in. And I feel like I'm going to refer to them as my daughter and son-in-law, even though they're not yet. I feel like we're learning how to communicate better as time is going by and as we're learning each other's communication styles. But all of that takes time, and all of it takes listening and communication. So don't just steamroll through the thing. Listen to adults, let them be adults. And I think if we all listen and communicate, that should go really well. That's a big ask, but it did go really well for us, and I was really proud of us. Okay, number 9, kind of related, have open communication. keep an eye on everybody in the group. If somebody is not having a lot of opinions, or if, we do have one member of our party that tends to not speak up, but they definitely have opinions. They just are kind of like, I don't want to be the one to say, I want to do this or I want to do that. So I had to ask them. And if I would ask them, they would always tell me. But sometimes I feel like a family unit that's been together their whole lives and the new people come in, they don't always listen. The new people that come in don't always have the same communication style. And you have to be sensitive to that. You really have to change maybe your approach to be more mindful of this other person that has come into your family and that they may not feel comfortable saying, I really don't want to do that. And if you don't ask them, they're not going to tell you. So again, communication. That's just what all this is about, right? Generosity and communication. It goes a long way. All right, number 10, and this one's really fun. Document well for your own memories. I feel like this is one of those trips that we will remember for the rest of our lives. I know we will. There were pictures that we took and moments that we had. I took some video just for our own use. I didn't vlog the trip. Moments that I have a feeling when I am in my 80s and 90s, Lord willing, I will be looking back at those memories and remembering this trip. I'm planning on doing a little photo book for myself because my mom, who is in memory care, has photo books I made of our family trips with her that she flips through all the time. And I just think that you want to document those moments. You don't have to be the one to do it necessarily. You could assign, a photographer, but that will really mean a lot in the years to come. And I'm actually planning on framing a small picture from the trip, nothing big that will take up space in their homes, and giving that to them as a Christmas gift. Or I might do a mug. I think a mug might be really fun with a bunch of the pictures from the trip, but document it in some way so that it's something that you will have and that you will always remember, because you think you're going to remember every moment and you might not. And just having it in our phones doesn't feel the same to me. I want to have things printed out that I can remember for the rest of my life, and hopefully that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. If you have been thinking about doing this, you need to schedule it. We had a trip like this planned when my dad first got sick with cancer, and schedules popped up and things didn't happen. And he got increasingly more sick and unable to travel, and the trip never happened. And it's a regret that I carry with me to this day. So don't put it off. Don't let scheduling and finances and all the things, there's a lot that we can all spend our money on. And I can't think of any better use of our money than this time that we spent with our kids and their people. We got to know each other on a deeper level, even then, more than like a family holiday, right? Because I was talking to Mike, Will's partner, about this. Christmas is great, Thanksgiving is great, but everybody is stressed and cooking and all the things. This vacation gave us time to really get to know my grown kids and their people on a completely different level. And it just meant the world to me. And I kept looking out during the trip and watching, different people interact and have, silly conversations and deep conversations and everything in between. And you really can't get that in just like a dinner together. It takes concerted time, concerted energy, money, and someone to take the lead and make all the things fall into place. So I hope these 10 tips have helped. Again, it doesn't have to be as extravagant or as big of a deal as going all the way to Puerto Rico. But I hope that you make a plan, that you talk to your people and get everybody together, because especially in these very challenging days, having the warmth of our family is just, I cannot even tell you. It means the world to me. Whatever you're doing today, I hope you're finding joy. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe. And if you haven't already, join us on Patreon. It is $7 a month. I only have one tier. You get early and ad-free releases of all of my long-form content, as well as trips and community posts and all kinds of stuff. And we would love to see you over there. And I will see you in the next video. Happy travels. Bye.